We're back.
It's your mom, friends. I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Jess, and we are two moms passionate about helping women fuel their minds, care for themselves, strengthen their relationships, and create lives they truly love.
Each week, we bring you honest conversations, practical tools, inspiring stories, and real life strategies to help you navigate motherhood, marriage, personal growth, and everything in between.
Whether you're listening while folding laundry, sitting in the school pickup line, or finally enjoying a few quiet minutes to yourself, we're so glad you're here.
So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive into today's episode.
Today we have a special guest joining us, Jen Driscoll. Jen, will you take it away and share with us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
I love your intro because I found myself taking that deep breath when you said take a deep breath. So thank you so much for having me here. My name is Jen Driscoll. I live in Massachusetts, kind of near Boston, and I am a busy mom of 3 kids, 6, 4, and 2. And career-wise, I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 20 years, and I work with pediatric population, but I also online teach moms about their nervous system and what's actually going on beneath when they're feeling overwhelmed and overstimulated and end up snapping and feel that guilt so that they can stop doing that, living on their edge, and start coping and giving them that awareness and how they can sort of come back to themselves again. So we work on like rebuilding that capacity so that they can be present moms and just enjoy motherhood again.
Love this. Thank you so much for being here. And this is what the MomFuel and Mindset podcast is truly about. It's being resources for moms and creating awareness, because Chrissy and I were both moms who have been through situations being overwhelmed, overstimulated, burnout, not the best mom that we wanted to be for our kids. And that's okay. Like it's okay.
Yes.
And it's never too late to start where you are and create that awareness, which ultimately creates change. So I love that you're doing this. And I would ask, where did this birth from? Like, where did your desire to help women understand their nervous systems come from? Do you have your own story? Do you have just,
Yes.
what was that like? Okay, women need this.
Oh my gosh, yes. So, the prep going into being a mom is really centered around, okay, what's going to be on your registry? What are we going to do in the hospital? Like and then it like ends there. And then, you're in this like little cocoon of, oh, I have this precious new little baby and everything and life is great. And then you sort of like emerge out of the fog and you're like, what is going on? And so for me, I really felt like, for my own personal story, once my third was born, and I had kids pretty close together, like 19 months apart for all of them. And sort of once I came out of that newborn fog for my third, I really just realized I had this moment of like, oh my God, I feel like I'm literally just mom. It doesn't feel like there's anything about me that doesn't feel like myself. Like I've given everything I have to my kids for so long that I don't even recognize my own self anymore. And I was just pouring from an empty cup. And I just had this moment I remember in the kitchen, and I just kind of like started crying because there was so much going on around me in the kitchen. And it was like the crying, someone's bickering and yelling. And I just like, it was only like 7:30 in the morning. And I just remember being like, I literally cannot take one more second of this. And I kind of like, my husband was in the kitchen and I just like walked away because I didn't want my kids to see me crying. And afterwards I was like, oh my God, how did I get here? Like I truly did not enjoy being a mom, and that felt so wrong to even say out loud. And I just remember everyone saying like, you're supposed to enjoy this, like enjoy the little things, you have to enjoy your kids. And I just remember being like, but I'm not. And like, but why? Like, what's wrong with me? I thought something's wrong with me, but am I not cut out for this? Like, what is the deal? And so when I really like took time to sit with this, reflect on this, side note, like I also have my own therapy that I go to. So like we work through some of this, and, I had postpartum anxiety. And anyways, so what I came back to was like tying in sort of my nursing career is like a human can only take so much. So it piles up and up and up and up. And all of a sudden it's going to spill out somewhere. And you kind of like compensate that for that until you don't. And so the nervous system piece comes in because, I know what it's like to deal with these patients in my career who are super sick, and there's all these demands and all this like stress happening in their bodies. And all of a sudden they break. And so that was exactly what I was seeing with moms. And unfortunately, as moms, you can't just like leave your situation. You have to figure out how to deal with your real life and be able to show up as the mom you want to be. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I think so many women either think it's their fault, don't understand even why this is happening, and don't realize that they think it's just motherhood, like that they don't realize they can change it. And so I want to help moms just like me who found myself in that very situation. I want to be able to have them experience mom life the way that they dreamed of and hoped of. And it's never too late.
It's not. I love so much of what you just said. And one thing too is like you pour so much of what you do in your work as a nurse. You pour so much of what you do as a mom at home. And then you talked
Yeah.
about loss of identity. No wonder why. Because I mean, your identity, from what I just heard you say, is being a caregiver, being of service to others,
Hmm.
your family, your kids, your work. And then at the end of the day, what's left for you? It doesn't sound like there was much left for you. And as you were telling your story, there was so much emotion coming from you. I felt like I was like in your shoes. It speaks to me because I am a social worker and I'm a mom, and I felt that very same thing that you just described to like its core, to my core, because when you give and you give and you give and you give, because that's what we're supposed to do as professional women, caregivers, as moms, as wives, of whatever roles that we hold, that we tend to forget who we are through all of that. And then you add the comparison game of social media. What is wrong with
Oh my God.
me?
Yes.
Because like everybody else looks like they have this picture perfect life, picture perfect parenting style, picture perfect marriage. And here I am floundering, but God forbid I talk about it out loud. I don't want to talk about, we don't talk about these
Right.
things out loud. I'm going to pretend that I'm fine because I'm a professional in my community. People know me as who I am. And so I'm not going to share. So thank you for being vulnerable to share that. You really spoke to me on many, many different levels, and being vulnerable enough to say, and I'm in therapy and I work through it myself. Like, kudos to
Yeah.
you, because
Yeah.
again, saying this isn't working. And if I want something
Hmm.
different, I have to do something different. And that is what you did. And then not only did you like do it, now you're helping people get there, because I'm sure you work with moms that are in different phases, right? Like some that aren't even
Totally.
aware of what's happening, to some are like, this can't be like my life forever. I need to do something different, kind of thing. And then everybody in between. So anyway, I just said a million different things in like whatever time frame, but you spoke
Yeah.
to me on so many different levels. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Two things came up for me there. One was another piece that I remember was my therapist asked me, "What are your hobbies?" And I just had this moment of like, I literally I sat with it and I was like, "I don't have any." And I
Mhm.
felt so much shame and guilt and like embarrassment for that. So I literally could not think of one thing. And I was like, where have I gone? And it was just like such a moment of like, my God, I will never forget that like question that she asked me. And, that obviously ties in there. And then the other thing was something that really is helpful and visual for me is if you think of a vase filled with water and the vase is the mom and you're pouring out to your kids, you're pouring a little bit out to your partner, you're pouring some out to work, friends, family, whatever. And now you're working with this vase that's half full. And so you're depleted. And so, of course, you're going to feel that. Whereas if you were to be able to pour that same amount, the amount doesn't have to change, but the same amount from a full vase and overflow, now you're filling your vase, it's overflowing, and you're giving extra more of yourself to everyone. Like they're still getting the same amount of you, but you feel better doing it. And I think that's just like really helped me think of like, okay, it's so, so important to care for your mom in addition to caring for everyone else.
First I want to be like, who, if you can agree with this, like share this episode. Like you have to share this episode because
Yeah.
I was that person that was like, I couldn't wait to be a mom. And this is it. This is what I couldn't wait for.
Hmm.
I hate this. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not connecting with my spouse. I feel like me and my kids are butting heads, like every little thing. And ultimately, that was a me problem. Like I was triggered, I was overwhelmed, I was overstimulated. And it came because I was running on E. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't, fueling my body with what it was needing. Like I was just this overwhelmed mom. And I'm not a professional in my community like you two are. Like you are in that, service world. But I found I'm a caregiver by nature. Like I love supporting people. So I'm volunteering at the school and I'm going to this and I'm doing that. And so it's just saying yes to so many things. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, what am I doing this for? Because I truly cannot even, like, I'm not having fun. I'm not enjoying it. It feels obligatory at this point and not like I'm doing it from like feels my soul kind of standpoint, which is why I originally said yes in the first place. And so I love that you feel so relatable because I found myself being like, that was me, that was me, that was me. And
Yeah.
ultimately got to a point where I was like, it ruined my marriage. It ruined my relationship with my kids. I was like, I don't feel connected. People are like, oh my, and I'm like, I'm going to bed with so much mom guilt because this is not the mom that I wanted to be. So thank you for just being so vulnerable and relatable because I think that many listeners will be able to be like, yep, that's me. That's me. Which is ultimately the goal because then we're going to tell them exactly how to ultimately change this. I do want to touch on a
Yes.
point that you said in the beginning because this will be a mountain that I die on is that we do not prepare moms for what is to actually come after giving birth. Like you said, we worry about a baby shower and our registry and what we need. And I had everything washed and packed in the bag 3 weeks ahead of time. And I folded the little onesies 14 times in 9 different ways. And I reorganized his dresser and I had all the things ready and I was ready. We went to Lamaze class. I knew how to breathe. I knew what to do. And then this baby, they hand me this little 8-pound baby and they're like, okay, good luck. And I get home and I'm like, and my emotions are running wild. And and I
Yes.
don't realize after months of like just this new mom, like I don't like 24 years
Mm.
old, I had no idea what I was doing. They did not prepare me for the emotional side of what was to come. And I agree, like, this is something that I would love to see change. I would love to see more. We had a guest who talked about, having it be a norm where they have you schedule an appointment with a therapist for after your baby is born so that you go and talk to somebody. And it's like, what a genius idea. Why are we not doing this? Why is the mental health not as important as the physical health? We bring the baby to the pediatrician, you go get a checkup. But is anybody talking about your mental health and like what's going on behind the scenes? Because I don't think there is enough conversations, enough emphasis, enough direction to new moms who have so much going on in their world to be like, this needs to be a priority.
I completely agree. And when you're in it, you don't even realize it's happening, which is kind of like the scary part. And your partner, I can speak for my own partner, they don't, they're not prepared to see like, oh, what is really going on here? They kind of like, it, like you said, it does affect your marriage and it just like literally impacts everything in your whole entire world. And mental health is like, I think it should be the first and foremost priority on top, like one little 6-week visit is not going to do anything. You don't even realize you're like in the trenches yet. I feel
Mhm.
like, it can come 6 months. Like my postpartum anxiety didn't even surface until 6 months postpartum. So it's just so much goes beyond, even beyond that first year. So I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Well, and to be honest with you, like mine didn't come, my kids were like 6 and 3. You know what I mean? Like, and
Hmm.
that's when
Hmm.
I had just that my breaking point. It started when he was probably 6 months old, but we just let it build and build and
Yes.
build. And I just thought I was being a good mom and I was doing the things and we were in the grind and we were young parents and we were just kind of going with the flow and doing our thing. And I didn't realize like it was compounding and little things were compounding until, 2020 and all that fun stuff started going down.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out, schooling with these kids and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't feel like a good mom. I feel like a really
Right. Right.
crappy mom. And this is not the kind of mom that I want to be. I don't want to be overreactive. I don't want you, being loud to instantly send me into orbit. Like you're a boy, you're laughing, having fun playing, smashing trucks together. And I'm like, I can't take one more loud noise because, and then it's like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to. And I was so dysregulated and I didn't even know what that was.
My God, 100%. I feel like I say that word a lot now, but I didn't even know what that word meant like a year ago. And I totally relate with the boys. The boys are just a whole other level of noise and
Loud.
overstimulation. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Loud, so loud.
Well, and I think one thing we don't realize, it's not a kid problem.
Uh-huh.
It's a nervous system problem. It's
Absolutely.
our nervous system problem. We need to figure that out. But when we're in the middle of it, we don't know that. We aren't aware. We just know that we are constantly stressed out. We're running around like we don't know what we want to cook for dinner. We are stressed out about the housework. We're overwhelmed by the amount of stuff like that's just occupying our brain. And then one little thing just sends us over the edge. And then we end up being the mom that we didn't really ever want to be, right? The overreactive, the one
Yeah,
the one that's yelling about spilled milk or whatever. And I swore to myself I would never be that mom. And I was that,
I
for
know.
a period of time. I've told the story before, but a huge trigger for me, thought it was a trigger, it was my nervous system at the time. But when I would get home from work and there was a trash can at the end of the driveway, and my two kids walked home from school and they walked right by the empty trash can and
Mm,
didn't put it in the garage. And I would literally lose my marbles over that. I would be like, how many times have I told you? Take the garbage can. You're walking right past it. And so, and it's funny, my middle child listens to these podcasts and she's like, I listened to the episode about the trash can, mom. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that. I wasn't my best self then. But when you're in the middle of it, you don't know, you don't realize it. And once you like take a step back and really kind of figure out, is this a them problem or is this a me problem? And how can I center myself so I'm not as reactive, so I can think before I say? And sometimes, I mean, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that today, Jen, what you have to offer people, right?
yeah,
Because there is a way out of it. You don't have to live in this constant chaos, this overwhelm, overstimulated mom that you might be experiencing right now. You can move past that, but it takes intentionality.
I love that. I think I totally agree with that. It's unfortunately it's a you problem, the mom. Like you have to do the work to fix what's going on with you. You can't control the other people around you, and I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong.
Mhm.
Well, and our
You can't
kids are
change your
learning.
toddler. You can't change your
Right.
husband.
Right. Well, and I
Yeah.
think sometimes that we try to. We try to change their
Hmm.
behaviors to be more conducive. You be quieter. You go play better. You guys get along. We're trying to change them to be more conducive so that we are less reactive, more conducive to our dysregulated nervous system. When in tune, they're learning from us. So what are
Right.
we teaching them by constantly trying to change their behaviors? And I know that we're talking postpartum, but like Christy talking about the trash can, her kids were older. We're not talking
Hmm.
newborns here.
Totally.
I'm talking when my breaking point came, my kids were older. They were in
Mm,
preschool and kindergarten, first grade. You know
mine
what I
too.
mean? So it's not like I truly believe it starts in that postpartum era, that first year of having a baby. But you may not see these, it may not become boiling over, that volcano is finally erupting until years down the road. And now we have years to undo where we think it's their age. We think it's their, oh, they went to school and now their attitude, it's got me crazy. Right? But it's not. We're finally erupting. Our nervous system is finally so shot that every little thing is sending us over the edge. Every little thing is causing us to be overstimulated. And I think that, speaking to the postpartum is just the beginning and truly
Yeah.
seeing where you are in your journey. I mean, we have listeners who are grandmas. Like if your nervous system is dysregulated, it could be from years of going through all of this and finally getting to a point. It's creating awareness to where you are on your journey right now and knowing that there's something that you can do about it. Cause like you just said, like we can't control the other people. And that we speak to that all the time. Like the only person you can control is you, and you have to take responsibility for your actions, and you have to be the one to decide that you want to do something different.
Yeah, I love that because I went to this book signing a few months back, and I like I was almost brought to tears because I met this mom. It was about motherhood. The book was about motherhood. I met this mom who her kids were like teenagers and maybe in college. And she was like, I wish this stuff was around when my kids are little. And all I could think was like, oh my God, she's suffered for like decades. And, had she known, had she been aware, and it just like really like ignited that why in me. I'm like, this is why, because I don't want people getting to that point. Like, you don't have to.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
And if you do, I'd like to say, like, you can still make the changes and have a different
Correct.
totally,
relationship with your adult
totally.
children. And then as a grandparent, if that ends up being your path. So even if there are some listeners who are like, my kids are adults now, it's too late for me. It's not, because I have adult children and I've made this shift with them as adults, and I still have a teenager at home for sure. So she sees a different mom than my older kids saw when they were her
Mm,
age. and they're seeing a different mom, our relationship, adult children. So it's never too late. And we can make the choice to have a different relationship with our kids, to have a different relationship with ourselves, because it starts with us. I preach this all the time in my professional life. A dysregulated adult cannot regulate a dysregulated child. And
Yeah.
so we can't teach what we don't have. And if we want our kids or adult children to have certain skills, we need to have them ourselves and we need to model them. So I feel like you can always do that. It's never too late for that.
Yeah, they're learning from us. They're seeing how we navigate stressful situations and anger and all that stuff. And I feel like that's sort of another like thing that social media has really highlighted in the recent times is like it impacts our kids what we do. Like it's kind of like yeah, okay, obviously, but like it's just really in our face lately. And
Yeah.
I also had this woman reach out to me and she was a caregiver. She sort of had to adopt her sister's children, so her niece and her nephew. And so she's not a mom herself, but she still is dealing with all of the same stuff. So it's really like you said, applicable to so many people.
It really is.
Well, and I think that even if your children are grown and now you're like a grandparent, chances are your sons and daughters are experiencing exactly what you went through. And to be able to be an example, set an example even now, like in the way that you communicate and the way that you show up and the way that you handle grandchildren, just gives like a different perspective, even if you parented them differently, to now be a grandparent who's parenting differently shows change. It shows growth,
Mhm.
shows the ability to, yes, you're right. I maybe didn't get it right with you, but I'm going to get it right
Mhm.
now. Or now I have the opportunity to change my relationship with you or be able to communicate better with you, whatever that is. Like it is never too late. And the chances are you still have influence over these people, over your children, over your grandchildren in your life. And so use that. Every day is a new opportunity to influence them in a better way.
So
Yeah.
tell us, Jen, what do you have to offer moms?
Okay, so something that really is important to understand and what I love to offer for moms that I work with is understanding the difference between overwhelm and overstimulation. And a lot of times we experience them in tandem, but you also need to be aware of how to look at it from like a bird's eye view and treat it for what it is. So if you're overwhelmed, you're going to be, fixing that with things that affect your mental load. Or if you're overstimulated, you're going to like decrease the sound and things like that. So it's really just a way to navigate how to differentiate the two and how to attack it head on. So I want to give moms something that they can have in their back pocket at all times for when things come up, because you're not going to be looking at this like printout of like, okay, so I'm supposed to do this, this, and this when I'm overstimulated. That's not realistic. So what I created was something that moms can read quickly. It'll take them like no more than 5 minutes to look over and then to learn it so that they have it in their back pocket to use when it's 4 p.m. and somebody's crying and somebody's whining and somebody spilled something. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh yeah, I have this thing that, okay, I'm going to now do this quick little reset, and have these tools in my back pocket to use right here so that I don't lose it in that moment. And it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a few different options that I offer that I use all of the time. And, now I know them and I love them and I use them like every day. But I want to give moms that as a quick resource to have so that they're not losing it on their kids and that they can show up as the mom they want to be.
Awesome.
I think that's great because I think little tools, right? We can't teach what we don't have. And if this is something you don't have, this is something you can learn. And then by learning it and practicing it, you are modeling for your kids the importance of a reset as well and how to handle stressful situations, right? Without saying, okay, let's look at this pamphlet, let's look at this flyer, whatever it is, and we're going to follow the steps together. They're literally going to learn by watching you. So when you take the
Absolutely.
responsibility of learning the steps that you teach and then implementing them, you are naturally teaching your kids. I love that.
Yeah, and that's really like the starting point and the first, step, because it's never really just that moment that got you to that edge. There's so much more beneath that, but you have to start somewhere. So you need the tools to get you through that moment. But then, the deeper work that I do with clients is working on how can we expand that capacity and build up your tolerance for all of the stimulation and the overload and the dysregulation and to be able to handle that more naturally. This is the first step that I offer in trying to take that first step in the initiative to help show up as the mom that you want to be.
Because I think as moms, we just have this assumption that we should know what to do. that we are moms and we shouldn't have to ask for help. That's a sign of weakness, and we're moms and we have to know what to do. We have to have it all together. And ultimately that's what leads us down this path of destruction ultimately. And so I think it's great to shed some light and awareness to the fact that these are tools. If our kids are in need, I remember sitting at a school meeting about my son who has ADHD, and I felt so defeated. And they looked at
Oh,
me and they're like, let's give him the tools he needs to thrive. And in that moment, I was like, why would I hold him back out of my own pride, out of my own like, I should just be able to teach him these things. He should just know how to this. I'm failing him. I'm doing that. Well, we could look at ourselves and say the same thing. Why would we
right.
hold ourselves back from giving ourselves the tools we need to be the best mom? We're not meant to like muscle this out on our own. Like community and surrounding ourselves with people who can help us become better versions of ourselves. If you have the tools to help moms become more regulated, be able to be more present, understanding, to truly enjoy, we all deserve joy. We all deserve to thrive motherhood, not just survive it. And we don't have to do that on our own. And so I'm grateful for the work you do. I'm grateful for the tools that you offer because I think that it's necessary. And we will say, so Chrissy and I talk about this a lot. Like moms need one more thing. Like we totally need
Right.
one more thing to dive into. But if that one more thing is going to help you become a better person, then what are some things that we could put on the back burner? What are the things that we're saying yes to that are keeping us depleted? And let's finally invest in ourselves. Let's finally choose to sign up for something or do something and follow through with it, because the change that comes from that is something that's going to last you a lifetime.
Yeah, and, maybe it's time that moms start treating their needs like they belong on the to-do list. How
Right.
many times do you ever put yourself on the to-do list? Because I definitely did not, but I do now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I absolutely love that. And we talk all the time about putting it on the calendar because if you do not intentionally put something on your calendar, it's going to be another one of those things like, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll just do it tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. So scheduling it and being intentional is super important. So I love the to do, putting yourself on your to do list. It's just a little
Yes,
different
yes.
spin on it. And I love it. Thank you.
So, do you have like programs? How does somebody work with you if they wanted to share with us a little bit about what it is that you offer when it comes to a program?
Yes. So I have a few different things, but I'll highlight. So I have basically it's a 1 hour call. And what we do in that 1 hour call is we really give you a detailed list of things that you're going through in your own life. So, this 1 hour call is one of my favorite things because it's a nice way to, some people don't even know what is going on. And it's a really nice way for me to be able to look at your story and show you, okay, this is what I see going on, and this is how we can tackle that. And they walk away with some really practical ways to do it and some mindset reframes. And they are just going to feel like a weight has been lifted off their shoulders after this 1 hour. And if moms are looking for longer, more in depth support, which I think is honestly, all of this work is not just 1 hour, it's ongoing, right? Because like you said, we deal with toddlers, school age, teenage, it's ongoing. And so I offer support, one on one support, private support with women where we really just start from the beginning and we go through, what's going on with mom when I meet her and how can we get her to showing what's actually happening beneath all of the overwhelm and the guilt. And so identifying what their triggers are, what they're feeling in their body, what they're experiencing day to day, working through that, and then showing them how to move forward to build that capacity up so that they can show up as the mom they want to be. And then so that they can really enjoy their life and not feel the guilt. And of course, you're still, the goal is never to be the calmest mom in the world. It's to feel dysregulated and still be able to handle it. And so that's my goal for people that I work with.
Because there's nothing like the feeling of getting through a difficult situation and being like, holy cow, like that was different. Like I'm not going to bed with mom guilt. Like I was able to handle the situation the way that I wanted to versus the way that I used to. And that's growth. And that builds your own self esteem, that builds your own self confidence, that builds your like, I am a good mom. Like I'm not ruining these kids. Like I am able to do this. It just took taking care of myself. It took pouring into
Yes.
myself, making myself a priority in this and not allowing myself to truly just be somebody who is on the back burner running on E, because that's what leads to this conflict and this dysregulation.
And a quick story that just reminded me so much of why I love this work is the other day we had this like monsoon rainstorm. It was raining so hard. And I was looking at the window and all my three kids were around me looking at the window too. And you could just see like the driveway was like a river. And so I just on a whim, I was wearing like a dress, a summer dress. And on a whim, I opened the door and I went out there and I just did like the silly dance in front of my kids in the rain. I'm getting drenched and the carefree and the joy that I felt in that moment. It was almost like an hour out of body experience. And I was just laughing and I brought my phone, but that was silly because it got like absolutely soaked. But then my kids saw that and they followed me and they then came out and danced in the rain and we were like literally drenched. Came back and we were all laughing. And later that evening, my 6-year-old was like, Mom, that was so fun. And he was like, guess what? You went first. You went out there first. And it was just this moment of like, oh my God, a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have never done that. I would have been like, no way, we're not going out there. We're going to get wet. That's a mess that I have to deal with. I like it would have just been too much for me to handle. And I wouldn't have been able to have that moment with my kids in a moment that they probably are going to remember. And I was like, it was just a moment of like, wow, I've come a long way. And I felt really proud.
Yeah, which is just proof like they feed off of our energy. Like they
Hmm.
truly, we set the temperature for our home and they feed off our energy. If we are constantly anxious and overwhelmed and worried, we're going to have kids who are constantly anxious, overwhelmed, and worried. I just was watching this. This mom was sharing something very similar to what you just did about her child was struggling. She was maybe 5 or 6 and she just was angry and she was upset and every little thing she was just annoyed. And the mom cranked up music and just started dancing by herself
Mm,
in the kitchen. And you could see like the kid like peeked around the corner and she was like, and then she was like bopping in the corner by herself. And by the end of it, they were full-fledged having a dance party in the kitchen. And it was speaking to like, we can help our kids learn tools and methods by the way that we show up. And if we're able to, like, if we're annoyed and we're like, music's too loud, turn it down, like we're not having fun with this, then we're not utilizing the opportunity to teach our kids. Nonetheless, we're allowed to have fun. Like we're allowed to let
yes.
our guard down. Like as moms, we like keep this unrealistic expectation that like the house has to be clean, the shoes go where they go. Like we have to keep this like expectation for us. And it's like to let our hair down and just have fun with them and truly enjoy having like the relationship we have with these kids, enjoy the time we have with them. It comes down to go play in the rain, have a dance party in the kitchen. Like just don't forget to have fun with them.
Yes. Yes.
It starts with us. It starts with
Mhm.
us, and we can't teach what we don't have. So I think allowing ourselves to have fun, do those things, be vulnerable. I know vulnerability is really hard because sometimes we feel like it means we're weak if we're being
Mm,
vulnerable, or people can like maybe think differently of us if we're being vulnerable, worried about what people think, those types of things. And at the end of the day, we can't teach our kids what we don't have, and it's generational, right?
Oh,
So we're
totally.
raising our kids the same way we were raised, and if we want something different, then we need to do something different, and that, my friends, starts with us.
amen.
We have to do the work if we want our kids to function at their best.
Absolutely.
All
Awesome.
right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us on Mom, Fuel, and Mindset. If today's conversation spoke to you, take it as your reminder that happy moms don't come from doing more. They come from choosing themselves and owning their growth.
If you loved this episode, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another mom who needs a little fuel and a mindset shift today.
Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, keep growing forward, and remember, happy moms own their growth.
See you soon.
Bye.